Hello chess lovers, I have a very interesting game for you played by Wei Yi against Bogdan-Daniel Deac. The game was played at King's Tournament 2017. This was a rapid game and Wei Yi started with d4, knight f6, c4, e6, g3, d5, bishop g2, Wei Yi goes for Catalan opening, bishop e7, knight f3, we see castling by both sides, and d takes c4. Black goes for open Catalan, queen c2, b6. Usually in this position white is playing knight e5 or queen takes c4. These are the main moves, but Wei Yi played bishop g5, knight d5, and after the exchange of dark square bishops, Wei Yi is grabbing the center, e4, knight b4, queen c3. Of course now you can't capture on c4 because of this bishop a6 move. After knight b4 we see queen c3, c5, a3, knight c6, d5, knight a5, now comes knight d2, targeting the pawn on c4, bishop a6, but now we can see that after knight e5, knight d7, Wei Yi is not going to win back the pawn on c4. He plays f4, a very aggressive approach by Wei Yi. Knight f6, rook e1, rook e8, d takes e6, queen takes e6, knight f3, and after strengthening his position he is now pushing the g pawn. Now of course black can't capture on g4 because of this f5, winning the knight. You have to give up your queen and this is going to be catastrophic for black. That's why after g4 black played a passive knight h7 move, while a better move was playing bishop b7, activating this bishop and putting pressure on e4. But instead we see knight h7, and now comes h4, pushing the h-pawn as well. Actually these pawns on the fourth rank look very impressive. Knight b3, now comes g5, rook d8, f5, Wei Yi, what are you doing? Queen d6, now Wei Yi played f6 and after h takes g5 he went for a knight sacrifice, knight takes f7. But the thing is that it was important to go for that knight sacrifice straight away instead of playing f6. Here knight takes f7 is just crushing. If king takes f7 then e5, if queen d3 then e6 check followed by f6, the threat is f7. This is just crushing. But instead, after queen d6 we see f6, and after h takes g5 only now Wei Yi goes for a knight sacrifice. But already his pawn chain is blown apart and this knight sacrifice isn't as scary as it was a move earlier. King takes f7, black is accepting the sacrifice, now comes e5, queen d7 and e6 check. Actually Wei Yi hurried. A better move was first capturing on g5, strengthening those pawns and only then thinking about pushing the pawns forward. After queen d7 we see e6 check, rook takes e6, and a bad move by Wei Yi, rook takes e6. It's not quite clear why he didn't play bishop h3. Maybe already he was under time pressure, but this bishop h3 looks very natural, just asks itself. Now if rook takes e1 then simply rook takes e1. Black can't capture on h3 because of knight e5 check, winning the queen. Or after bishop h3, the best move for black is g4, luring away this bishop. If bishop takes g4, rook takes e1. Now already the bishop is not on h3, you can't play knight e5 check and win the queen, like in the previous line I showed. You have to capture on d7, rook takes f1 check, king takes f1, knight takes f6 with equal chances. Of course you can't recapture on d7 because of this knight e5 fork. Let's go back. After rook takes e6, Wei Yi played rook takes e6, queen takes e6, knight e5 check, king g8, f7 check, king f8, bishop h3 and g4. Not quite clear why is black giving up this pawn, why not queen d6 at once. After bishop h3 we see g4, bishop takes g4 and a bad move by black, queen h6. This is losing on the spot. the best square for the queen was on d6. But this queen h6 move allows white to win the game. Can you find the winning move for white? Ready? Where he played knight d7 check, but queen e1 is just winning on the spot. The threat is knight d7 check. If rook takes d7, then queen e8 checkmate. If knight f6, then knight c6 is very strong, both attacking the rook, also threatening queen e7 checkmate, and the game is over. But after queen h6, we see knight d7 check. Rook takes d7. Still white has an advantage. Where he could play queen e5. The threat is queen e8 checkmate. If rook d8, then rook e1 is winning. If king takes f7, then queen e7 check followed by queen takes d8 check. Or after queen e5, if knight f6, then rook takes f6. You can't recapture because of queen e8 checkmate. If queen c1 check, then rook f1 and it's over, white is winning. But after rook takes d7, instead of playing queen e5, where he captured on d7, but this is already losing. Here comes queen g6 check, king h2, queen d6 check, forking the king and the bishop, and after queen g3, black is capturing on d7, queen e5, but already it's too late. Here comes knight f6, black is also going to win the pawn on f7, and these three pieces against the rook are enough to win the game, and Wei Yi resigned. It's a pity that after starting that scary attack, Wei Yi didn't manage to realize his advantage and lost the game. Again, I have to repeat, maybe he was under time pressure, but guys, those moves, bishop h3, queen e1 or queen e5, looked very simple, and a grandmaster of such a high level must find those moves just instantly. It will be also very interesting to know your opinion about this game. Your comments please, and thanks for watching.